All right, welcome in the building, everyone. Welcome back. It's 8:30 Central Standard Time, 9:30 Central Eastern Standard Time. Thank you all for joining in. Thank you all for joining in. Today is Thursday. As you all know, we show up Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. All right. So hopefully you all had a great day. Welcome in the building. Welcome in the building. Hopefully, y'all had a great day, having a great week, and looking forward to the weekend. I know I am. I know I am. You guys, I'm excited to show up once again for you all. Hope you guys came prepared with. I see our Wi-Fi is going to be a little challenging today. I'm using the hotel Wi-Fi. Hopefully, it holds up for us. Um, I'm not going to push it, as you guys know. It's just me today. Last time we had my dad with me and we went the full duration of an hour. Today we might, get to about 30, 45 minutes. I'm going to share a story as I do every time to connect with you guys. And then, we'll open up the floor for questions. So hopefully you all came prepared. So the title for today is Say Yes, How Embracing Opportunities Can Change Your Life. So essentially, whatever you're involved with, right? The grand scheme of things, you said yes to, but there's going to be opportunities for you to say yes at different points, right? So, welcome. So, I'm a proponent of, saying yes as much as possible. Even in relationships, right? When you're, in a relationship with someone, say like, your significant other, right? The grand scheme of things is you want to spend, a life together, you want to be together long term. So, there's going to be opportunities for you to say yes a lot, right? And, I'm a big proponent of, being able to say yes as often as possible. Welcome in the building. Welcome in the building. And not only in relationships but in your career. You said yes, overarching, that you want to grow in your career with a particular company, and there's going to be a lot of different assignments that you're going to get that you want to be able to say yes to. So for an example, for me, I was recently given an opportunity for a role change, right? So I'm working the largest and highest priority program for Homeland Defense, but there's like other programs, sub programs as well. And so I was asked to do a role change into another program where basically I'm meeting new people, different tasks, learning something new. I've been with the company now for 4 months, so I'm understanding the company culture in its totality, and I'm understanding the program and how it works and whatnot. But I'll be working with a new group of folks. So I'm excited about that. I'll be managing different facilities. So before I've been traveling from Alabama to Arkansas. Now, like, I could be in California, I could be in Virginia, right? So I got more responsibilities. And I'm excited about it, be able to build new relationships. But I said yes to the opportunity this week, and that's what it's about, being able to say yes to different opportunities that you might not know anything about. Another story. I was going out to eat one day, and I like the presence of the waitress, and I was like, yeah, I can see you being a manager one day or something like that. And she said she was offered a position, but she didn't say yes because she was like pregnant at the time. And I was just kind of like dumbfounded, kind of like, why wouldn't you say yes to a promotion? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's never been my situation. I normally say yes to pretty much anything. If I'm in close connection to something, I'm going to say yes to it, most likely, right? Because it's under the umbrella of what I'm trying to accomplish. So it's like you never know what you say yes to that's going to lead you down the path. And for me, I just like imagine what this opportunity could lead me to. Now, I could be totally wrong about what it could lead me to, but just having an idea and being excited about something, is all that's necessary. And then, you just, some of the things that people could be concerned about, before saying yes is like, are they good enough, right? Do they feel like they have what it takes, a skill set in order to do well? And then, getting over meeting new people, not, some people are shy, and whatnot. But for me, it's like a journey, so you say yes, and then you kind of like have some ideas, but you're not locked in on a particular expectation. You just like, okay, obviously, someone saw something in me and they want me to take on this new responsibility, and I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna go in there, I'm gonna observe, I'm gonna learn, right? And I'm gonna do my best. That's really all that is expected, and then everything else will fall in place. But first, you got to start with that yes, right? So it could be in relationships, saying yes, to make other people's lives better. It could be, saying yes in your career so you can advance and be able to learn more and grow. It could be, saying yes to starting something new, like, starting your business, right? Starting off building your brands. So with the LaFred effect, someone was like, LaFred should start a YouTube channel. And then I said yes to it. I didn't have the name at the time, but when you have an idea, you just kind of go from there, and then it kind of builds on its own. And then now I've employed like four or five different folks, that help me out with engagement, video editing, optimization, right, to get this content out to the to a broader audience. So I just say yes to things, and then everything else kind of works its way out. So that's my spiel about saying yes. I hope you guys have the questions ready, because I want to help break through any barriers that people may have about saying yes to something that they might not have all the information to, right? There could be some uncertainty, but I want to help us build our mindset to be able to say yes, because once again, if it's under the overarching umbrella, then you just got to say yes in order to like make the next step, and to continue to build, right? So first we're talking about mindset, and then taking the proper actions to get the results you're looking for in order to achieve the success that you show desire, right? And it's different for different folks, and it's different levels of success. But it starts by taking those actions. And today we're going to talk about making sure you have the mindset and the encouragement and the heart and the mind, to say yes, like making sure we break any boundaries that prevents you from saying yes, because you might have something to say yes to tomorrow. I mean, we essentially say yes every day. When we wake up, we're saying yes to, I'm going to continue to push and be consistent, right? We're saying yes to being our best selves, to showing up, every single time at a level that we're comfortable with, moving in the pace that we're comfortable with in order to, reach our goals. So yeah, let's go ahead and get those questions ready. Thank you. I appreciate the congratulations. Thank you very much. I'm excited. Let's get those questions ready. This is the first time that I've ever been presented a role change within my career. And so I'm excited that this will eventually lead, as this is the next step. I've never been promoted internally within my career. Usually my promotions come external, either with a different company or, within the same industry. So I'm excited that I'll, potentially have the opportunity to be promoted internally, right? Just one thing leads to another. So, this is exciting. So I appreciate the congratulations. Okay. We have our first question. Keep the questions coming. At least give me 2 in front of each question. So I can, manage our time well. And then kind of, see what you guys are looking to learn and whatnot. So it says, what's one opportunity you said yes to that completely changed your life direction? Okay, yeah. So I think I think for sure, with pursuing education, it was kind of like you that was a thing to do. But saying yes to college, I know my mom was kind of making it seem like it wasn't an option, but I was like, the first one of her children to go to college, so I have an older sister that didn't go to college. So even though my mom was like, making it seem like it wasn't an option, I still had to say yes to going to college. And so I did. I didn't really see any other opportunity besides going to school. And, I enjoyed school. Prior to college, I did very well. And then in college, I did good as well. But, saying yes to college, like if I didn't say yes, I mean, I was going to figure it out. But, college led me into my career. And I've been, doing this thing since 2012. Um, that's when I started college in 2012. So I feel like I've been on my career journey since then. And, I've been able to progress from lower class, whatever, poor, I would say poor, to being upper middle class, right? So, that was like the first big change of my life by saying yes to going to school, yes to being an engineer, and yes to being consistent in my career and growing, building connections. And yeah, it's just the beginning. Definitely life changing. That's definitely on that category. There's been other things that I've said yes to that's changed my life, but that's one that I would like to share with you all. All right. Next question is, why do you think so many people hesitate to say yes even when they want to? Okay, okay. If they want to, they should definitely do what they want to do. I've definitely been a proponent of saying yes so I don't regret anything, or saying no so I don't regret anything. But like I said, with making sure you're under the right umbrella in the right place, it's going to be more time to say yes to than anything, right? And to be able to get over that hurdle, be able to get over that hesitation, you have to believe in yourself, right? Believe in yourself that you can do it. Believe that if the opportunity was presented to you, somebody did some thinking prior to presenting it to you, that you have what it takes. They need someone like you to get the job done. And you want to like grow. You don't want to hold yourself back. You want to be able to take on new things and learn something new. Some people don't want to learn something new. I've been in my role for 4 months. I'm very new, and now I'm learning something newer. And you just got to be ready to take on that challenge, right? You don't want to hold yourself back. You want to be able to continue to learn and expand and grow, expand your horizon, because you never know, what you'll leverage from your past experience to conquer or resolve an issue. You solve a problem. So say yes to as much as possible. Some people may feel like they're too old, like down there, just kind of slowing things down to where they don't want to take on challenges. So that might be one reason why they wouldn't say yes. Even some young folks just kind of want to do their one thing, and if they say yes, then it comes with more responsibilities. Yeah, most likely it will come with more responsibilities, and they might be hesitant because they don't want to do more. And that's just a different mentality. That's not what the LaFred effect community is about. We're looking to grow and expand so we can reach our goals, and then eventually reach our goals and be able to help others reach their goals. So it's kind of hard to think about the reasons why people hesitate to say yes, because I just never been that person to turn down an opportunity. Yes, fear shows up. What helps you move forward when self-doubt kicks in? Self-doubt, reason why self-doubt doesn't show up that often for me is because I continue to pour in myself positivity. And being part of communities like this helps with that as well, right? I could share with when things didn't go right for me, right? Whether if it was a job loss, right? Whether if it was divorce, right? Whether if it was just something that didn't go as planned, right? I'm able to share that, that this too shall pass, that you'll be able to, or whether if it's being in a car accident, right? You can overcome obstacles that sometimes are out of your control. If you just don't give up, and if you just keep pressing on, if you continue to consume positivity, right? Then positive, you'll start to move in a positive direction, and opportunities will come your way. There is such a thing as taking in the wrong information and it having a negative effect on you. So and that's where self-doubt comes in. If you're not exposed to the right environment, if you're not exposed to the right community, if you're not soaking in the right information, it could definitely derail you and prevent you from taking on additional responsibilities, or taking on opportunities, or saying yes, right, because of the self-doubt. So that's a real thing. So start today with looking at a motivational video. I know for me in my trading journey, I'm going to start talking more about it. I picked up trading once again last week after taking a month break, but I started trading in the stock market back in college in 2012, 2013. So I've been trading now for over a decade, and I've been able to do well in certain times, but overall, I haven't been able to reach my goals that I so desire. So I take a break away, and then I come back to it. When I come back to it, I come back wiser, stronger, and with better strategies in order to succeed. Right. So some of the strategies that I've implemented is journaling daily on when I take trades. Also, I've incorporated an accountability partner to help me stick to my rules. So, when I think about how serious I am now, I kind of like think maybe I wasn't as serious before. And that's not the case because, growing up, we didn't really have everything, right? I didn't have a silver spoon. There wasn't financial stability. So, managing my income is very important to me. But I'm happy that at this point, I've been able to incorporate and implement some strategies that will allow me to be more successful and reduce my risk in order to realize higher profits. So more to come there on my trading journey. But yeah, self-doubt, sometimes that kicks in when things don't, you know, things that is very important, like money, very important. And if you're not making money, you might have some self-doubt in there. So it can be pretty intense. The self-doubt can be pretty intense, but you really just gotta soak in as much positivity, like, right? So along the lines of watching videos, I'm watching uh psychology of trading, right? And just understanding other people go through some of the same psychological aspects of trading as I have experienced, and then kind of how they get through it. So research other people's journeys and stuff, that's similar to yours, and kind of understand how people was able to get through certain things. And that's what we're doing here at the LaFred Effect as well. When I share personal stories about how I was able to get through something, it's just connecting with people that are overcomers, essentially. So then that'll allow you to be relieved of the self-doubt that sometimes seeps in. But it's just like a cup. You know what I'm saying? When you got dirt in the cup and you keep pouring water in, eventually, you'll purify the water, purify the cup, and the dirt will be removed. And self-doubt is definitely dirt. Definitely dirt. So you want to be able to pour in good stuff and get out all that negativity. All right, next question. Hope that helps. What role does mindset play in recognizing opportunities when they show up, especially the unexpected ones? What role does mindset play? You got to, yeah. It's okay. Here's a quote right here. It's better to be prepared for an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So essentially, mindset allows you to prepare yourself for the opportunity that will come in your future. There's going to be plenty of opportunities that comes. You know what I'm saying? Just from the fact of us being younger, right? And then the older generation of the baby boomers, they're going to be, looking to retire, spend time with family, right? Follow their passions. Then there's going to be opportunities that open up for those who are ambitious, for those who are seen as motivated, for those who have established discipline early on, right? You're preparing yourself mentally for that opportunity. It's only a matter of time. Just time alone is going to open up opportunities for you if you stay in the game, right? But you gotta do your part. And having a strong mindset allows you to eventually take the proper actions, right? That's going to lead to the results, right? And once you have results speak for themselves. Once you obtain a high level of, driving results, then, people are going to be like, this person gets the job done and we want to give them more opportunities, right? When you do well, what happens? More responsibility, more work, and then you're able to continue to show what you're able to do, and it'll lead to the next opportunity. Okay, so that's how mindset, comes into play. And so you just do your part, right? You can't help but be seen when you're performing at a high level, right? A lot of times when we're working, we're going to be working with people, right? So people are going to see you. It's not just about being seen. You could be, just doing what you do and enjoying what you do. But when people are able to see how you enjoy what you do, and you emit a level of energy that's contagious, they can't help but be drawn to you and to ask how can they help you, right? And it's important that what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go, so that when someone asks you how can they help you, you have ways in which you could be assisted, right? Okay, so hopefully that helps how mindset plays important role in getting opportunities. I see it says unexpected ones. So those are the ones you're not even counting, right? So you do have, I do have a plan in which I want to progress in my career, but it's not always going to be exactly how we plan it. Like I did not think I was going to be in this role right here. I thought I was going to be doing this particular thing for about 2 years, and within the 2 year time frame, maybe a promotion. But after about 2 year, 2 year, I'm like, I'm looking for my next maybe lateral or my next move, right? That I'm going to initiate, right? But there's unexpected ones that come along the journey, and I'm excited that I've been able to um show what I've been able to what I can bring to the table in order to have opportunities as such. So it's all working, you guys. I don't just talk this talk. What I'm saying. I what I've talk about is what I've experienced in the past, and what I'm talking about. Um, I'm using in order to propel myself into future opportunities and whatnot. So hopefully you guys are grabbing a hold to it. Hopefully I'm able to answer your questions to where you can see how you can apply it to your lives as well. Yeah, and we'll just keep going. Next question: how can we tell the difference between a distraction and a real opportunity? Okay, that's a good question. Absolutely, that's a good question. um so for me, it's based off the overarching goal, right? For me, I am looking to grow in my career, right? And I can lean on my manager to help decipher what opportunities are good for me. It was presented to me by my manager, right? And then there's going to be opportunities that I see, and the opportunities that I see, ideally they're going to be I'm going to have my best interest in mind. And so you got other people bringing you opportunities, and you got yourself, right? You got unexpected ones like my manager presented to me, and then you got like mentors and sponsors that you're telling them, hey, this is what I want to do. You putting it out there. And before I took the meeting, I was like, oh shoot, maybe what I put out there is about to hit. I had no idea what it was, because I'm looking to lateral into program management. Like I do a little bit of program. I'm like in between the program and operations as an integrator. But I'm leaning towards program management. I was like, well, maybe I've been putting it out there, and maybe here's an opportunity. But it was something basically similar to what I'm doing now, but it's just for a different product. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm expanding my horizon in regards to these products based on this particular program. So I'm like, okay, this is great. This is great. I'm excited. Um, and I'm gonna bring all I can to this new opportunity. But those who you're connected with, the relationships that you build, if you're expressing what you desire in your career in a concise manner and people understand it, then they'll have your best interest in mind with finding the next opportunity. If they hear anything, and then you'll have your best interest in mind with applying to different things. So essentially outside of that is people that you might not know that bring something to you. You just got to have discernment and think about it thoroughly, ask questions, and if it aligns to what you're trying to accomplish, right, whether if it's building your career, building your brand, your investments, like for me, real estate, stock market, right, if it's aligned with that and I see the value in it, then I can say yes to it. So one of the things for my trading journey, I haven't like been in communities, but I signed up for a community, and just to be able to see the different learning sessions that they provide, be able to see people wins. It's a lot of encouragement that I didn't really have on a consistent basis. So that's something that's going to allow me to go to the next level, right? It's like community in regards to something that I'm interested in. So when somebody presents something to you that you might not know them on a personal level, if it's aligned with your interests, right? And you spend enough time to do your research and you say, oh, they're very much aligned with me. They're like a long lost family member, then yeah, you connect with them. So you should be able to decipher enough to be able to know if it's a distraction or if it's going to be something that's going to allow you to go to the next level, something that you'll be able to add value to, and mutual beneficial that they'll be able to add value to you as well. So hopefully that helps. Okay, next question. Have you ever said yes to something you weren't fully ready for, and how did that experience shape you? Okay, great. So, in regards to applying to roles, right? I'm saying yes to, I want to position myself into this role, and they got to say yes to me, right? I'm saying yes to spending my time researching the opportunity. I applied to the role. Maybe I'm not 100% fit, right? Not fully ready. Maybe I'm not 100% fit for the role based on maybe the years that's required. Maybe I don't have it for a particular category, right? Or I don't have a level of years for a particular software that they want people to be experiencing. I've done that plenty of times. You don't have to be fully ready, right? When people like post something out there, this is like an ideal candidate, but you want to be able to see how you measure up to it and tell them, hey, this is what I've done. I haven't experienced this, but I know this, I know that, and I'm willing to learn and whatnot. When you exude your confidence about what you can bring to the table, when you exude your interest and how this relates to your future aspiration, they can help you connect the dots. You can connect the dots, and you could be the ideal candidate based off the those who based on the other candidates that apply. You could be the number one candidate. So anytime you don't actually want to be fully ready, because there's no growth in that. You want to position yourself to where you're taking on challenges, so you'll continue to grow. It's not just about making money or just reaching your goals. It should be about something personal, that you're becoming a better human. And as you become a better human, you just get more opportunities. And from more opportunities, you grow in net worth. You grow in a sense of self-awareness. Like you just want to be able to become the best human being that you can be. And that happens when you don't just wait until you're fully ready. It happens when you take that leap of faith, when you take that jump, when you take that step. And once you do that, it will shape you. It will stretch you, and you'll be better because of it. So hopefully that helps. Next question. How can you confidently embrace opportunities before we feel ready, and trust, they'll lead to powerful growth. So I kind of just answered that, right? You just gotta be confident about it, because there's nothing else to do but continue to grow. This is not a community that being mediocre is okay. The what's normal is growing. What's normal is taking those small steps that will get you closer to your goal. So that's what the culture is here. Is being brave and courageous to go out, to put yourself out there into different environments, and make those relationships, make those connections with people, and show up as your best self. So with that, you got to have a level of confidence, right? And just trust that you have what it takes. You trust that you have enough. Trust that you have enough, and then from there you continue to grow and build. You don't have to know it all. People around you is going to be able to help you, right? They'll be able to answer the questions. A lot of people in this world, they want to help. And when you're under your you're looking at the umbrella, if you're like you're under the umbrella for yourself that you so chose, right? Based off your interests, right? Based on what you want to do in this world, then you pick the right environment for yourself. And within that environment, it should be people that's similar to you. And so when you're able to connect with those people, you guys are able to grow together. And that's what I've been talking about, here in this community. I could do my thing. I've been doing my thing, and I'm going to continue to do my thing. And I'm going to experience success. That's my track record. And there's nothing else for me to do. Honestly, I don't like the word keep going. I know a lot of people in this group have saying keep going. There's nothing else for me to do. So I will do this. I will do that. And I really just prefer people to say what they admire about me, right? Because there's nobody in this group that's going to like prevent me from doing what I do, right? There's nobody in this world that's going to prevent me from doing what I do. I do the things that I do because I want to do that. So I don't really need a keep this or keep that. I don't tell people to keep doing anything. Actually, do what you want to do. I'm doing what I want to do. So that's just a normal way of doing things. Don't you can't tell me keep being great. I'm great. I'm going to do great, because there's no other thing for me to do but do great stuff, right? I'm just going to That's going to allow me to go to higher places. I'm going to continue to learn. That's going to allow me to go higher places. You know, I know for sure when I hear the word keep doing this, it rubs me the wrong way. And I just want people to be able to meet in the way possible. And it's just like, to kind of hear how I think about things, because the way I treat people is kind of how I want to be treated, right? If I like redirect somebody, I want to be redirected in the best way possible. But I did hear this. I heard it's this guy that goes around and talks to people that do very well and do interviews. It's on YouTube, and Will Smith was saying that he asked for advice, and then somebody that's like very high up was like, "Man, I can't give no advice to you because you're doing things that I wouldn't do." I've like been down territories that my family haven't experienced before. Not a lot of people I've been able to connect with based off of like what I've experienced. So at some point, you're going to realize you just need to observe your surroundings and stuff, and that's how you'll be able to learn. But as far as getting advice from people, it's going to be harder for people to give you advice because you're at a higher level, and also like what they might give you is just really not aligned with what you built in the past. Like that's not what's brought you here. So that's that information might not be what you need to get to the next level either. You got to be more in tune with yourself and what you need, right? You have enough, you have what it takes, and you just need to, just be encouraged. But you don't need anybody to tell you what to keep doing, right? You just got to do it yourself. Because they're not going to even be there if things don't even work out. They're not going to be able to be the ones to like really keep like push you forward. Really, when people congratulate me, they's like, you did the work. And really, I'm going to still have to do the work. Nobody's going to do the work for me. So I don't need anybody to say keep doing it, because other than that, it's like, if I stop doing it, then what? It's like, are you going to like do it for me? No. So it's on me to do it. right? So I'm going to keep doing whatever I think is best. And that's how you have to think about what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. Um, and that's not me telling you what to do. That's like, I admire what you're doing. I love that you're doing this. That is very inspiring. You can say I wish this or wish that, but I just like who you are, how you show up. That's amazing. Like, just be like very humble. When I hear people say keep, it's kind of like, why keep doing it? Where does it lead me to? Like, do you already know where it leads? Like, have you already did it? Like, what does the end zone look like? I'm going to keep doing it because I think that this is the right way. But can you tell me if it's the right way or not? You know? So think about that for anyone, like when you're applauding someone, just say what you admire about them and how much you respect them, and how they're making a difference, in different ways. If you know about them, you're able to give them a really good pat on the back and admiration, versus keep. I don't like seeing keep. All right. And I won't tell people that really, you know. Let's see. What are the most common fears that hold people back from saying yes? And how do you overcome them? Okay, somebody asked this question, prior, and it's hard for me to think about common fears because I actually don't fear hardly anything, because God didn't give me a spirit of fear. He gave me a calm mind, he gave me peace, and he told me that I can trust in him. What I'm saying? So there's really not many fears that I have. um you know I want to continue to progress, and be able to fulfill the destiny, be able to fulfill the destiny that the Lord has planned for me in this world. And that's just that. But people have their own reason for being fearful. But get in your word, pray, get in the right community, and that fear will, seep away. And you just be like, I'm going to do the best that I can with the opportunities that I have, and I'm going to continue to grow. And as I grow, more opportunities will come. And it's just that. It's just like that. All right. Next question. What's one small way someone can start saying yes more often in everyday life? Okay. Just say yes. Just start off by saying yes. Say yes to your morning. Yes is day. I remember I was driving my little girl, back to our property, and she can't help but see her favorite spot, and they position it very well. I'm driving on the highway or interstate, and like before we get off, she can see her favorite spot. She's like, yes. I'm just like, sometimes, like most of the time, I take her there. Yeah, most of the time I say yes to us going. That's my little girl. I'm able to say yes to like pretty much everything. And this time I was like, you don't feel well, we're not going. But she's just like, yes. So you got to think about, kind of, becoming that child, right? And saying yes. Yes is something that didn't even happen yet. She's like, yes, she see the spot and it's like, yes, like we're going. And I had to break her the news. I'm like, no, we're not going this time. You know what I'm saying? But 8 times out of 10, we going. So you just gotta be like, yes, yes, I'm awake. Yes, I got an opportunity to go into this. I get to work. You know what I'm saying? Working is a blessing. Be able to say yes to whatever you want to do in this world, and being happy before it happens is a great start, right? And then you got to say yes to doing whatever it takes. Yes to whatever that's involved. Yes to talking to whoever you need to talk to in order to learn more about whatever you want to learn more about. There's like always going to be somebody that knows more than you, right? And it's not always about what you know, but who you know, right? But saying yes to putting yourself out there. That it's a lot of power in the word yes, and a lot of energy around it, and it just puts you in the best mood. So be able to position yourself to be able to say yes as much as possible. All right, hopefully that helps. Can saying yes too often lead to burnout? There go that famous word again, burnout or regret. How do you create healthy boundaries? Okay, and that word boundaries again. Okay, so you guys, I don't really relate to those two B words. I don't really use them. I don't really use them at all. you really won't hear me say anything about burnout or boundaries because, okay, you prevent burnout by doing something you're passionate about. Okay. We talked about this, and I'm okay with repeating what we talked about. You know what I'm saying? If there's something I didn't stick, you can do a follow-up question and I'll be happy to answer. Okay, so with burnout, a lot of times it's because you're not doing something that you truly want to do. You're not really passionate about it, right? And because when you're passionate about something, you can do it like it's like playing on the playground, right? It's like eating your favorite food. When you're passionate about something, you can't have enough of it, so you don't really get burned out. Like you have the right mindset, to take breaks, because even if you're playing, sometimes you got to slow down to catch your breath. Even if you're eating food, sometimes you got to slow down and drink water to wash it down. So it's just part of it, like it's part of the journey, so you don't ever get burned out. Like when I did 4 months of working, then I took a vacation. It wasn't because I was burned out. It was because I needed a break. I just needed a break because, all the traveling and all the new things that I've learned, all the people I've met, I needed some time to recuperate. And, I took enough time to learn what I'm doing. And then, I took enough time to work within the 4 months. That's why I was the one, that somebody thought of to do something else, because they was like, you seem motivated, right? So I took enough time to show that I'm motivated. And then the opportunity came. And that's okay. So if that's how it happened, right? If that's just like the blueprint right there, I worked 3 to 4 months and I took a break. But within that time, I did my best. I made the connections. I learned, I grew, I took on challenges. I presented in front of our customer, within a month and a half of being there, learning a new product, right? I did everything that it took to be able to be presented with a role change opportunity, right? And this is after I took a break. So that means breaks is part of it. People understand it. You have to understand when you need to take a break. Find your own pace and you'll prevent burnout. Burnout should not happen if you're doing what you enjoy, because the burnout comes in your mind first. You're just kind of stuck, and that's where the regret comes, because you kind of feel like you're not really doing what you want to do, and you regret because you probably said no to something else and yes to something else. But honestly, whatever you say yes to is where you're supposed to be. Whatever you're doing is what you're supposed to be doing, and nobody's forcing you to do it. Okay. And then as far as like boundaries, like I just say yes to what I want to do. So if I say yes to doing YouTube live, that means I'm saying no to being somewhere else. Okay. So you like by default saying no to a lot of stuff. But whatever you say yes to is what you're actually doing. Just say yes with whatever's on your journey to continue to do. And you should know what that is, because it falls under the umbrella. You don't have to know exactly how you're going to get there to the ultimate goal, that leads to the success that you so desire. But you don't have to know, like I did not know. But if it's still in line with progressing in your career, you say yes, and then more opportunities to say yes will come. Okay. So, I want to refrain from getting into, thinking burnout is okay, or thinking, like categorizing healthy boundaries, right? It's just, you want to live a healthy life. You want to like be in a healthy environment as a normal thing. It's not like healthy boundaries. It's like you choosing to, it's just like, it's just normal. You want to like say yes to things that are positive. You want to say, yes to positive content, yes to positive communities. So you're basically saying no to the other stuff by default. That's just how I think, you guys. So hopefully that helps. How do you build the confidence? Okay. Yeah, we've been zooming through. We're already at 45. So these are my last two questions. So I appreciate you all for the questions that you're able to submit. And hopefully, the answers that I provided have been able to help you grow. As long as you get at least one thing from this, like you're able to grow multiple times throughout the week, because we've been meeting up Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, right? And, I'm real, like you can ask ChatGPT or Gemini any question that you want, right? But I'm speaking from experience, right? I'm speaking from, and a lot of stuff that I'm sharing, because we've already talked about my past and what I've been able to accomplish. And now I'm here in the present with you guys. I'm telling you exactly, what has happened this week, right? And it's all based off the mentality and taking the proper actions. And then I've been showing results. And now, next thing you know, I get an opportunity. And I'm not only getting opportunities from, people that I'm connected with, but I create opportunities for myself, right? As I mentioned, I'm in the stock market, and the market has been, it's been a good experience, and it only gets better. I recently learned, as often as possible, say life is good and it's only getting better, right? Trading in the stock market is good and it's only getting better. The stock market has an opportunity for me to double my income and surpass it. And then I'm able to, be able to fund my real estate investments even more from the success that I've had in my career and in the stock market to come. So, this is real stuff. I'm keeping you guys updated since we've already covered. No problem, no problem. Somebody said thank you for this, and no problem. I enjoy it. I say yes to this. Like, I enjoy giving back. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy uplifting. I enjoy inspiring people. It's no problem for me. It's a pleasure. So, I cover my past, and now I'm here in the present, and then I'm gonna be able to share with you guys what I'm looking to accomplish in the future, because I'm very futuristic. And the Lord said, write your plans and make them plain. But don't expect for them to always happen as you planned out. That is what I've experienced. It doesn't always work like that. You got to be flexible as well. What did I say? Structure plus flexibility equals balance. I said that before. That's something that's really sticking to me. Having a structure, having a plan, but being flexible. That's the best balance. All right. So I'm gonna finish up these last two questions. Okay. All right. How do you build the confidence to say yes when you feel unqualified or unsure? All right. So first off, you got to know that you are enough. Let's just start there. There's going to be so many other ways to build confidence, but I'm going to just tell you what comes off the top of my head, and hopefully that helps. But know that you are enough. If you're in this room, you're enough. You're able to listen. You're able to ask questions. That's enough. That's what it takes in order to be able to start implementing those small steps. Those small steps that's going to, lead to you achieving great things, be able to achieve your goals, right? Your goals are precious to you. And as you continue to chip away at those goals, it, creates more confidence within yourself to take on the next challenge, take on the next goal. So first you got to start with the mindset. That's you saying yes to change. That's you being involved with communities like this, taking on content outside of meetings like this to continue to grow, right? So that's you transforming and growing your mindset. Then you'll eventually start taking the proper actions. You'll not only be able to identify the proper actions for yourself, but you'll be more in tune, right, with yourself and who you are. And then different ideas will be attracted to you. And from that, different ideas will be attracted to you from people that you've experienced before, and even strangers, right? Or something that you see. It just comes naturally, right? So from that, you take all that in and you use discernment and decipher, what actions you're gonna, what things you're gonna do, what actions you're gonna take in order to achieve the results that's under your umbrella, your overarching goal of what you're trying to accomplish, that what you have determined that is a level of success for yourself. So me, reaching the executive level in my career at this point, that is a level of success that I'm working towards, right? It's okay for things to change, what I'm saying? But, just have that overarching goal and different aspects of your life. And, once you set that, continue to build your mindset, continue to implement those actions. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just got to start and then continue to make those steps. And then you will start seeing results that you can measure yourself up to. And, you can compare based on the time frame that you want to achieve your goal. Then you're able to say, okay, I'm doing this good. You get that momentum. You can stay consistent, and you say, okay, well, I want to do it faster. So who do I need to connect with in order to go faster? Or what do I need to do? Write it down. What do I need to do it faster? What's taking too much time? Maybe I delegate that out to someone else that can do it better. You know what I'm saying? It comes with a particular cost, but it's either going to be time or cost that's going to help continue to drive the needle. All right. So hopefully that helps. I'll be able to spend more time talking about that as you continue to ask questions, because you're going to need that to be repeated more and more and more. For me, it's like a cycle, right? Of like how I move. So it's just normal for me to talk about it. But it's just normal for me to go about it things that way, because there's no really other way for me to do it. I form my own system, that works, and is based off of how I experienced my life and how things have panned out. So I just kind of know how things are going to continue to go. And then as the Lord shows me even more, because, this particular role that I was able to be blessed with, once I got it, I was, still in another role. I didn't know how to end my previous role. And then it ended perfectly. One door closed, and the other one was like, I already like was ready to walk through it. I just didn't know how to do it properly. And then the answer came. And sometimes when the answer comes that you had nothing to do with it, then it becomes even another level of comfort, and like, be able to say, it's not just on me. It's not just on me. Things are going to happen for me as well. And, when that happens, like I said, it's just like a level of comfort, and it actually like reduces my level of ego, because it's just like I had nothing to do with how well this transpired. And I couldn't even imagine it happening this way. So, just understand that, having confidence that it's not all on you as well. You just do the best that you can with the information that you have, and everything else will be handled. All right. Last question. I really appreciate you guys for showing up. I really appreciate all the questions. I can tell you guys are looking for information, and I'm happy to be here as a resource to you all. And I'm looking forward to this community to continue to grow. All right. So last question. What role does failure play when you start embracing more opportunities? Okay. Failure is important. Another thing that I recently, heard Will Smith say on his video that this guy was putting together, where he interviews top folks, billionaires, multimillionaires, and stuff like that. But Will Smith said, failure is great to experience. A lot of other people have said it too. Making mistakes is great, and I want to break it down for you guys that is the best opportunity to learn. When you're continuing to do the things that you're really good at, you're just doing those, you get better at doing it. But it's not until you make a mistake, it's not until you have a failure that you say, oh, this is something I need to look out for. This is something I need to pay more attention to. This is something that can happen. I didn't know that was possible for me to do this, but now I can realize, hey, I am human, and this is something that this is like kind of like a blind spot for me, and I need to pay more attention to it, right? And when you grow, like I've grown within the stock market several times, like I've had to take several breaks and reflect, right? And then you create more rules for yourself to adhere to, right? You create the own rules for yourself that, someone else may not need that, what I'm saying? But you're understanding based off of how you're wired, based off, where you was born, who you was born to, how you grew up, what educational background you have, right? What experiences have you had, the people that you interact with, that form how you think, right? And how you go about different things. So you're going to have some systems in place, some filters in place in order for you to prevent or minimize mistakes, minimize losses, right? You create that foundation, and this is just like the fail-safe foundation, right? To when you do experience mistakes, you only fall down to your system, but you're able to continue to build from there, right? So, that's what I encourage you all to do. Like, continue to learn about yourself, write down what you're trying to do. And when you start going about it, there's going to be mistakes that happen, and you just learn from those mistakes. And then you do your best not to repeat those, right? And then when you continue to repeat them, you say, okay, I need some help with that. I might need an accountability partner. I might need to journal more. I might need to like really visit how this is making me feel. And, once you understand how it makes you feel, then you're like, how can I prevent myself from feeling like this? What do I need to, start doing or stop doing in order to achieve the success that I'm looking for? And you just keep working hard on that. Like, you don't let up. Like, you don't be like, oh, this is just it. This is just how it is. No, like, even Elon Musk, when they couldn't, like, there was shipping things up, trying to get the satellites in the air, and then they was trying to protect their asset by allowing it to land. And he was losing a lot of money because it wasn't doing as intended. It was like coming down and crashing, but they kept going over and over and over again, improved sensors and stuff like that, and eventually it was able to land. And then once they did it once, they was able to do it again and again and then from losing money down to like making billions of dollars. But you got to stay on it. You got to stay consistent. You got to never give up. You got to put yourself in the right environment so you can be encouraged in order to continue moving forward. And you got to be able to speak to yourself positively, because you're going to be spending the most time with yourself. And when you do that, you're unstoppable. When you know that there's nobody standing in your way, you're not standing in your way, you can do all things that you put your mind to. So you guys, hope you're inspired. I'm inspired from all these questions and the answers that came out. That's what we do, you guys, here at the LaFred Effect, where we have real talk. We go deep and build forward. You guys, until next time, stay focused, stay grounded, and above all, stay real. Peace.